buy a router and either like a track saw or a table saw, and I didn't know if you had any advice on what would be a good small furniture making shop setup.
I think, well,
Yeah.
I'm new at this, so my first piece of advice is figure out what project you want to make first, and then get what you need to make that. And that's, Ed, I think, is a better, also good.
What router would you use, Ed?
I only have 100 of them, and I'm not kidding.
What would
I
you
don't
say your
change
top
bits.
25 of them
I don't
are?
change bits, I just have routers. I hate setup. I don't know what your intentions are, how to use it. There's different sizes, trim routers. Milwaukee is my router of choice. They make basically two, 1 3/4 horse and a 2 1/4 variable speed horse. The thing I like about them is you can pick them up with one hand. They got a strap on the side. I do a lot of stuff where I'm holding the work. All the other routers on the market have two handles. You're trying to muscle it, hold your work, clamp it down. Anyway, eBay,
Are you able to put them in?
go on eBay, look, oh, I'm sorry.
Say
I
that
was
again?
gonna ask if those ones are able to be mounted in a table if you want to do like an edge or something like that.
Yeah, I don't have one handy, but I've got two portable router tables that I use.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
And we just use in Milwaukee. They're fantastic ergonomics. He's got 100, I've got 16, so that'll show you kind of the.
Yeah. But for a first tool to buy, a router is definitely, I think, because that's kind of the question, right?
well, actually, I'd buy
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
if I were
Like,
gonna
I
buy
know
one
you're
router, I'd buy
kind
two.
of
I'd buy one of these and one of these.
Yeah, he's
This is a game changer.
What's
Now,
that?
That's a trim router, but you don't have to buy the cordless one if you don't want to invest in. I just picked up a brand new Bosch trim router just like this, 1/4 inch collet on eBay for $63, free shipping. Okay?
Oh, man.
So if you go on eBay and snoop around at routers, put in brands or whatever, you gotta know what you're looking at. Some of them look like they were run over by a truck. Some people go, I used it on one project and they're blowing it out like 60, 70% off. You can't go wrong. Check the reviews though. If you've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
sold, don't buy one from somebody that has never sold one. It's a scam. So be careful, be careful. Anyway, that combination will, 1/2 inch collet, 1/4 inch collet, you can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
What would you say for a first saw?
What's that?
first
saw.
saw.
My first saw?
Well,
Or
for
what
him,
you would
like,
recommend?
yeah, for-
You want a
Yeah, I
table
was
saw,
kinda-
you want a track saw, you want a track,
Table saw. Let's tape
a
what?
table saw?
Well, see, that's what I'm between. I'm wondering if I should, for the name or for the sake of space, if I should get a table saw or if I could get by with a track saw instead.
What kind of woodworking do you think you're going to be doing?
Yeah, first
Probably
project.
like pretty basic furniture. Like I think my first commission is the payment for using the workshop, which is building my girlfriend a kitchen island.
You're going to be using
that'll probably be
plywood?
the first project.
You're going to be using plywood?
I'm probably going to be using veneered plywood, and then I'm going to try to make a butcher block of some kind, probably with walnut.
And how much space you working with?
It's about 12 by 18 feet, something like that. It's a pretty small space.
Do you have 220 or 120 power?
It's 120.
I would seriously consider a track saw and build some sawhorses in a track saw.
Yeah, I think you could get by with just the track saw, especially with the
Yeah.
space.
And again, we lean, or I would lean towards the Festool. Tell us about your experience with the.
It was a Triton. So I tried the Triton Track Saw, which is significantly cheaper than the Festool Track Saw. But to be fair, I was working with
Killer lumber.
literally killer lumber. So the naturally salvaged lumber, dried naturally, some of it is really dense, and not every species of wood has that even grain density. So to be short, the lumber I was using, it killed the Triton Track Saw. It started to burn out.
Within a week.
It was, no, it made it a good, It was over a month.
That's all.
But this was an industrial space, so like every day, you know, we're like grinding that thing through, you know, freshly dried lumber, and
Then you bought a.
Then we bought the Festool, and the biggest Festool was is it 55?
75.
75, yeah, the 75. Yeah, that one gets the job done. Just got to keep the blade sharp.
Well, let's do a quick vote here, because I have Joaquin and some other people here that are woodworking for a while. Who would vote for a table saw? Who would vote for a track saw for that?
Are we voting too?
Yeah, you're voting too.
I just have to ask you one more
Yeah,
question.
okay, go ahead.
How thick of wood do you plan on cutting with your projects?
What is it? What was the first part?
How thick of material are you gonna cut with your projects?
Probably about 3/4 inch will be the average,
Two
I would
inches
say.
thick?
3/4.
Three quarters.
Oh, 3/4.
There's not much difference though with if you get the full size track saw, right? You got a little under 3 inches.
2.5.
Well, no, the reason I ask is if you only have 110 power and you buy a small table saw and you're trying to run 2-inch thick oak through it, you're gonna burn out the motor or it's gonna stall. Take your choice. It's gonna burn. They're not made to do that. The track saw though, the big Festool track saw will go about 2 1/4 inches thick. And they make clamps for the track where you can, you know, feel secure that it's not gonna move.
Yeah.
And you could literally rip 2-inch oak or 1 3/4 oak with that track saw and not have a problem with it. Now, can you do dado cuts with it? No. So
Yeah, that was the only
you
thing
have,
I was-
again, we come back to this original question. Where do you want to go with this? What do you want to do with it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jerome has a.
Yeah.
So you don't need the dado cuts if you've got 100 routers.
Yeah.
Oh, true. There's other ways around.
Yeah,
And if
and
you have-
now Joaquin has some input there. Go ahead.
What?
I think you're
Oh,
muted though.
No,
so-
I was agreeing with, yeah, if you have a bunch of routers, yeah, I guess you don't.
Yeah. What I got to add on that track saw, you need both of them. I mean, you know, what the advantage
I just real you can
do.
do dado cuts on a track saw. I realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's saying you need both of them, so. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so.
I know. You just move the fence over. Is that correct? And then raise the blade whatever height you want for the dado cut. So, is that correct?
I wasn't talking about that. I was gonna say something about the track saw.
Oh, yeah.
He was asking about the track saw. I was gonna give you my experience with it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. In building cabinets for kitchens and such, well, you got a big old sheet of 4x8 plywood out there, and running that thing through your table saw, sometimes you don't get that accurate cut. So you cut it up into pieces, or you can cut them exactly what you want them cut at with that track saw. Or you can cut them down to size and then use them on your table saw.
I was going to
It's,
point that out before
I got
the
the
vote.
DeWalt track saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Great
completely.
advantage. I love it.
We can all agree here that the name of the game is to get all of the tools eventually.
Yeah.
But
First,
but I'm probably gonna have to start with one or the other, I think.
If I could just throw a little insight, you know, when I first started, if you go back and look at 1975 issues of Fine Woodworking magazine, this topic of what saws do I get, 90% said that you had to have a table saw, period. And I remember reading one article back in the day about this one guy, and he says, you know, you don't really need a table saw. You can get by just fine with a bandsaw. And I thought, well, that's crazy. I mean, nobody believed him. But now, looking back on what I do, again, I have I've limited what I do. I do cut plywood on occasion. I do cut long boards. If I started out today, like, doing a little bit of cabinets, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, I swear I'd buy a track saw and the most expensive bandsaw I could buy with a 1-inch carbide blade and use that as my table saw. Again, just food for thought. And routers and the track saw.
Sander.
Yeah.
Oval sander.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where I would start is, I would seriously consider buying a good large throat bandsaw, because I do 90% of my work with the big bandsaw and the little guy. So, my 2 cents.
Yeah. All right,
Well, my 2 cents,
Yeah, good.
I disagree 100%. Okay? I would, if somebody said, I'm gonna take your table saw to your shop, I'd shoot him right between the eyes, okay? I've got a Delta Unisaw that's 25 years old, and the total run out on the blade is 2/1000ths of an inch. I've got a digital readout that goes out to 1/1000th of an inch. I can cut dado joints, I don't care what you tell me to cut it, 0.926, and I'll give you a dado joint that's exactly 926. So it all depends on your personal feeling about all this stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to do dog houses and picnic tables,
No, we're not
you know,
talking about.
whatever. I do very precision work, and everything is done in thousandths of an inch. And when I get done, the joints fit together perfectly. No gaps. They're perfect.
But-
So it all depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, so I don't think we need a vote. There's some good information for you, Tom.
Yeah.
That's
There
why
is no right answer.
I hope we answered the question, right, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
right,
so-
you did.
we have interesting discussions at lunch and breakfast.
I bet.
All right,
I'm the one that asked about the domino tool last time. So I appreciate you guys covering the
Oh,
split
okay.
joint. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
easy to slap some stuff together for, you know, as a demonstration to see, I mean.
Now, I just remembered, I do own 2 highly precision table saws. Okay? But they sit back there and I use them rarely.
Yeah, then maybe, because oh, go ahead, so, sorry.
I have a question, with the table saw, doesn't most of the precision come from the fence? You have